every so often I touch like a blissful-ish state, and not every time, but frequently whenever I do get to that point, I get excited.
Oh, sure.
Like my ego is like, yeah, we did it, we're doing so well, you know, and then that takes me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a funny.
It's also like kind of nice because it's like the realization of you just meditated. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but I want to like, you know, I like to live in that place. It's like opening the door and look how cool, and then just closing the door. You know, it's like I want to go in there and sit in there for a bit, but it's
can't do both.
sometimes it's challenging.
Yeah, it'd be like if you got excited about peacefulness. You know, there's no more peacefulness
There's
if
no
you're
more-
excited.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know, it's just so. Whether that's just accept that you did get the glimpse and you visited, you know, for the period of time that you did.
Yeah.
Always too brief, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah.
Or you cultivate, you know, alternate responses to that recognition. You
That
know,
is-
like,
that
you
is
know,
what
when
we're
I
gonna-
get there, you know, this is, you know, like if you're super happy to see your grandma, but she's really fragile,
Right.
you can't give her a big hug and pick her up. Like,
Right.
you feel that way, but you have to tell yourself, oh, that would be bad. And just have to say, you know, like say it in words, or, you know, or
Yeah, you've helped me with that a lot when, to use the same analogy, like when I open the door, and it's not necessarily a blissful state, it's like, it's darkness, but not in a negative way. Like, I feel like that has like this negative connotation. It's just like the unexplored darkness. But it's an altered state. And I've touched on that a couple times, and the excitement, but also the fear, kind of takes me out of it. But I've changed how I respond to that when I go in, as of late.
Yeah, I think part of it too is, you know, so this might be taking away some credit from somebody that cultivates an alternative response,
Sure.
right? But you know, if somebody came to class that you hadn't seen in a few years, you might be really excited that they're here, and there's a little chatter and introduce Mirage, and there's a little, and then we settle in and we have class, and then maybe the next week they're here again, and you're, oh my God, it's 2 weeks in a row, like you're making a regular thing, it's so great, you remember, and it's a few minutes of hullabaloo and we settle down. If they just start coming to class and they're here every week for 19 weeks or something, you'd probably just like, hey Becky, glad you're here.
Yeah.
We put your towel out to,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that's taking away the credit for having cultivated an alternate response to that. But I think there is something to be said for the idea, like if you more regularly
Repetition.
get that door open,
Yeah, I agree.
you're not going to be as excited,
Yes.
you know, or like off.
Yeah.
Right. You might still be grateful to be there and prefer to be there and so forth. And it might have been where you were headed, but you're less likely to kind of teeter yourself just at the, you know, the introduction of it.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So I suppose that, like, you know, one of the avenues is just to keep practicing, and it becomes familiar, and it's not a big excitability moment. And so that's not a particular practice to learn, you know.
Yeah.
That's sort of a meta realization about the practice. Meanwhile, I'd just be cultivating the things. Usually, you know, when somebody finds that elusive, elusive state, let's say, you know, they respond to it with, you know, the chase. You know, I want that, I love it, I can't get it, where's it going, you know? And if we were talking about a romantic relationship, we'd be talking about smothering. You know, where it's like, yeah, but I'm just being sincere, I'm really digging you and love you, and it's like, well, their experience that you're smothering them,
Yeah. It's
and
also
like
fear of wanting,
that might,
losing
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fear
So that very common response, that sort of smothery excitability chase, will tend to chase things away.
Yep.
And then that tends to be the rationale for you're chasing after it because it's going away. But maybe it's going away because you started chasing, like you said, because of the fear that it's going to go or it won't last, or it's in sight now, I better run for it, or whatever gives rise to the chase. So more to think about, I guess.
I'm circled by jaws. I don't know if you can see.
What's